Okay. Well, to start the meeting, I'd like to give everybody an update for membership. Jeff Link's term expired last year, and he was reappointed to another 3-year term. Unfortunately, he was unable to join us tonight. He had some work obligations, so hopefully his attendance will get back on track. He's a valued member of the EC, but he hasn't been able to make it recently, so hopefully that changes soon. Bill Petravich was appointed as an alternate member, and Mark Fiorella was appointed as Township Committee Liaison. Bill and Mark are both here tonight with us. Unfortunately, our Planning Board Liaison, Frank Cahoot, was reappointed, and that's disappointing because he hasn't attended an environmental commission for a year now. I went to a Township Committee meeting in December and specifically requested that they replace the Planning Board Liaison because I feel that position is the most important voice for the environment in Franklin Township. And I also requested a replacement for the first alternate, which has been Giovanni Cavone, who has held that position for the last 2 years, and he hasn't attended an environmental commission meeting in 2 years. And he was also reappointed. So they
refused you, John? They refused to listen to you?
Well, in action, they refused. They seem to receive my message well, or my recommendation, but based on their actions, that's a different story. And I don't really want to harp on that. It's disappointing and it's kind of frustrating, but we can still proceed the same way we always have and try our best not to let that interfere with what we have to do. So there's not really much more we can do about that. So I think we should just move on and do what we can do. The only thing it really denies us is a vote on the planning board.
Right.
Other than that, it doesn't really hurt us because we can go to any planning board meeting and say what we have to say. Speaking as a member of the public, it won't be as impactful as someone that's speaking up on the dais, but that's what we have to deal with.
And who was the liaison, John?
Frank Cahoot.
Frank Cahoot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He attended one meeting, which was a year ago, last January. So anyway, so we'll move on. If someone would like to make a motion to approve the minutes from December 27th, 2023.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, minutes pass. So to acknowledge our guests tonight, I see we have, well, I don't see, but I hear Roger in there. So, and I see Barbara Halpern as usual. So thank you both for attending the meeting tonight. So I have appointments on the agenda in new business, but I think that's something that we should do first. So I will ask for a motion for a chairperson, a vice chairperson, and a secretary. I doubt we'll get any nominations for a secretary. So hopefully, Suzanne, if we don't have any nominations, you will continue in your role as acting secretary doing the minutes.
Yeah.
So I will start by asking for a motion for Environmental Commission Chairperson for 2024.
I make a motion for John Stipick to be chair.
I think I second that one.
Okay. I'll take a roll call on that. Jason is not here. Margaret?
Yes.
This is a yes or no. Okay. Frank Cahoot is not here. Jeff Link is not here. Suzanne?
Yes.
Evan?
Yes.
Giovanni's not here. We don't need an alternate vote because we have a quorum. And well, I get a vote, and I vote yes.
Thanks,
and I don't think the township committee liaisons have a vote in that.
No.
Right. All right. So I am your Environmental Commission chairperson for 2024, for better or worse.
Thank you.
I'm happy to continue in the role. And thank you for appointing me and nominating me. So, second, I will ask for a nomination for vice chairperson of the Environmental Commission for 2024. I nominate Suzanne McCarthy if she is willing.
Yeah, I'm willing.
Okay,
All right.
so we just need a second.
I second it.
Okay, Margaret seconds. Roll call vote. Margaret.
Yes.
Suzanne.
Yes.
Evan.
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. 4 votes. Congratulations, Suzanne.
Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Well, I don't have to do anything specific as a vice chair, so.
You'll find out.
Yeah, true.
And now I don't expect any nominations for this, but just to go through the motions, would anyone like to make a motion to nominate a secretary for the Environmental Commission for 2024?
Well, I know I do not want to do it. That's what I'm so sorry. I did it for a month, and I just lost so much of what's going on in the meeting because I'm busy writing. So then I can't hear what's going on.
It is easier with the recording, so you can go back and watch the recording. But that being said, I see no nominations. So we will continue as we have for the last several years as Suzanne as acting secretary.
And maybe one of the people that has attended some of our meetings would be interested in it as a job.
Yeah. I mean, Roger and Barbara are the only members or non-members that pretty much come to every meeting.
But other people who have come fairly often, like Mindy, maybe would be interested, or Debbie Barsati, was it? Perhaps we should ask them.
Yeah, I can reach out to them and ask them. Although neither of them have attended in the last several months.
No, Mindy and Debbie. Well, Bill's here now, and he's now an alternate, so he can't be he can't. Well, unless you want to volunteer, Bill. But he can't be a paid secretary.
Wheeler.
All right, now that that's out of the way, we can move on to the next agenda item, emergency management and hazardous waste sites. We have nothing to review this month. So we'll move on to the next item, which is zoning and planning board applications. There are 4 applications on the agenda, but just today I received 2 more applications, 2 planning board applications of applications that have been previously reviewed by us, but we didn't have all of the information, but we do now. So those applications are PB 2315 White and PB 2304 Gloucester Solar. So we'll do those last, and we will start with PB 2317. That applicant is Newfield DG LLC, also known as Dollar General. This application is for block 7202, lot 10, located at 1444 Harding Highway, which is in the HC zone. The applicant proposes to subdivide the property into 2 lots and to develop upon one such lot an approximately 10,640 square foot Dollar General retail store, together with related site improvements. So they are seeking a C variance variance for minimum parking. There would be 43 spots required by the ordinance or by zoning, but only 35 are proposed. So they're under the minimum requirement by 8 parking lots or 8 parking spots, which I can't imagine that has any environmental impact. I guess it's probably better actually having less because it's less impervious surface. They're also requesting a waiver for minimum landscape of interior parking lot. As the zoning requirement reads, there is 10% required. They are proposing 3.3%. And to break that down into square feet, if they were to meet the 10% requirement, there would be 2,450 square foot of landscape area within the parking lot. And with the 3.3 that they're providing, it's only 675 square feet. So let's see here.
I don't go for that. I mean, it's ugly. He's already ripped down all the trees there. You know, no, I'm not going to agree to them that just giving us a 3% instead of a 10%. We want trees. And John, this is right next to you. Doesn't that road flood?
Not down that area, no. And they're doing road improvements to that intersection now. Oh, you know what? It does flood. You're right. On the opposite side of the road.
I remember orange cones there.
Yeah. No, you're right. There's like a big puddle there. And it does flood now. I assume that will be taken care of as they're doing the road improvements because they're adding like turning lanes. And this is the opposite side of where it usually floods. So I don't think the flooding is related to any development on this specific site. And if anything, it would help the flooding because there will be stormwater basins, and any stormwater on that site will have to be directed into the stormwater basins that are proposed. But I entirely agree with you about that they should be held to the standard of the landscaping. And even if it's not within the interior of the parking lot, I think the 1,800 square foot of landscaping that they're trying to not have to provide should be provided somewhere on the site. So if it's not in the interior of the parking lot, there are 2 large grass areas where instead of just grass, they should either plant trees or like a wildflower garden or a rain garden or something. So
yes.
As my comment or as our comment, I would propose that we propose exactly that. Ask them to implement some kind of pollinator garden or a rain garden somewhere in the site to make up for the 1,800 square feet that they're not willing to put in the interior of the parking lot.
Well, I want more. So in other words, they're not going to. We won't insist that they put it inside the interior of the parking lot.
We could, if we feel that that's appropriate.
I think it's appropriate.
I also wonder about their stormwater management. Their stormwater management needs to be more than just the basin. It needs to, in order to do it according to regulations now, they really need to try to break up some of the impervious cover with some other effect. And landscaping is the easiest way for them to do that.
Right, in the parking lot, right?
In the parking lot.
Yes.
Islands that are recessed or at grade level that can absorb some of the stormwater or yeah, I agree. I don't see any reason to give them a waiver on that. It's a Dollar General store. Come on, it's a national company. They have the money to do. to do it.
How many do we have now? Two
Yeah,
in
exactly.
Mountain, two
But
in New
unfortunately, we can't say
I know.
we're opposed to a Dollar General store because we have too many of them already, unless there's an ordinance passed that puts some limit on them.
How is the
And
master
it's-
plan
it's-
going? Is it
not
being?
it's not an environmental issue.
It's not
you know?
environmental at all, right? It's just so ridiculous that our entire retail wing is nothing but dollar stores, or they're not, not always the same name, but
Did you see their self-description of what a dollar store is? It's a neighborhood store providing good name brand products at good prices for the neighbors. Oh my.
Well, I'll be honest. I'm a frequent shopper at dollar stores.
Oh,
well, for food, they are name brands, and
Yeah.
for food items, the
Now,
other
yeah,
stuff is all
that's
junk.
about all I go there for is food when I need something in a pinch. Like if we're
Yeah.
short one ingredient, if we don't have
Right.
hamburger rolls or something, I'll go there. But, and there's always multiple shoppers in there every single time I go
Yeah.
there.
yeah,
So,
but
and
they're
these-
It's
popular.
not that. There's no
These
question. It's
corporations
just
do
the
the-
number of them is seems so ridiculous. I don't see how this one's not even in an ideal location.
Mhm. Yeah.
The
And
others are.
it's going to wipe out the store that's catty corner. It's going to wipe it out.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
probably true.
And I go there often too, and that's owned by a, really friendly local family. They always
Yeah.
have their kids in there, and really,
It's gonna wipe them out.
Store. Yeah, well, I mean, the only difference they have is the corner store serves like hot food, so maybe that'll be enough to keep them going. But no, you're right; it'll definitely take away some of their business for sure.
Yep.
All right, so our comment will be landscaping inside parking area is important for stormwater management. I will come up with a more articulate sentence to express the importance of breaking up the parking lot instead of just having one unimpeded impervious and put that on our comment sheet. There's also another issue that I saw. The landscape trees that they propose are all great native trees, which was encouraging. There are maple trees, redbud trees, dogwoods, cedars, but one of the flowering plants that they propose to use is Spirea japonica, which is listed as an invasive species in the Invasive Species Atlas of the United States. So I believe we should make a comment suggesting some other plant other than the Japanese Spirea, considering it's noted as an invasive species.
I wonder if they're putting them in the other Dollar Generals. Is this Family Dollar or Dollar General? I plain forget. Dollar General. Or I wonder if the other Dollar Generals are putting those plants in.
I would imagine they're not putting any plants in retroactively. You mean on the ones that already exist in the town?
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't noticed any of those plants at the other Dollar Generals. But if everyone's in favor of me adding a comment to advise,
I'm in favor.
Period,
I'm in favor.
I will include that in our comment sheet as well.
What is the plant again?
It's Spirea japonica. So to spell it, it's Spirea.
Yeah.
And then Japonica, or it might be Japanica.
No, it's P-O-N. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Even though Japan is spelled with an A, Japonica is spelled with an O.
Okay.
But I haven't heard about that plant being a big problem, even if it is in that atlas.
Yeah, same. I don't know if it's super invasive to this region because the atlas covers the entire United States, so it might be invasive in another region. But either way, there could be a better alternative. The native alternative is always better. So I figured it was worth commenting.
All right.
All right. So our comment will be landscaping inside parking area is important for stormwater management. I will come up with a more articulate sentence to express the importance of breaking up the parking lot instead of just having one unimpeded impervious impervious
And can we suggest something? Is that what we want to do, is suggest a specific plan?
We can find a suggestion. I would like to research it a little more to find the perfect alternate.
There are other spireas, aren't there? I don't know.
That?
There are other spireas that maybe are native. I have no idea. I don't know.
I'm not too familiar with those plants, honestly.
No, Barbara, do you know? No. Okay.
But if we do suggest something, I would like to make sure it would work well.
Yeah, that it would fit in the same location. Okay.
Yeah. It's pretty easy to find alternatives. There are many resources online that will give you specific alternatives for almost every invasive plant in the country. All right, if no one has any more comments on that application, we can move on.
That was a ZB, right? ZB?
That Dollar General was PB.
It was PB. Okay.
Yeah.
That's right.
Our next application is ZB 2313. The applicant is K2 Properties, LLC. It is block 802, lot 33. That is located at 2141 Sheridan Ave. It's located in the RA zone. It's 3.8 acres. The applicant proposes to construct a single-family home. A variance is requested as the lot does not have frontage on a street. The applicant also intends to provide a 28-foot wide access easement through lot 32, which they report to also own. A variance is also needed for a front yard setback. So this lot 33 is a landlocked lot. There's no street frontage. So they basically want to make this into a flag lot. The applicant claims to own the lot in front of the potential flag lot. So there's a variance needed for no street frontage, front yard setback, and that's it. So the proposed front yard setback is 50 feet where 75 feet is required. 150 feet of street frontage is required and 0 is proposed here. Well, I guess the 28-foot easement would have 28 foot of street frontage. The site plan that was submitted to the township is impossible to read. It's tiny.
I know. It was
this little spot right here.
I couldn't even tell which.
Yeah, even on the digital copy, it wasn't a JPEG, so you can't zoom in on it.
I couldn't make it.
Yeah.
What's the acreage of the existing?
3.8 acres. And that doesn't include the
easement.
Right, which I guess the easement technically wouldn't be part of this property.
No.
So it wouldn't have 28 feet of frontage because the easement's still part of the other property.
That's probably true, yeah.
So I can't see any comment that we could make on this, considering we can't really see the site plan. And even if we could, I don't know, there would have to be something really egregious for us to have any comment on this application.
There is isn't there a house on 32, or is there? I can't remember now. I looked at it the other day.
Is that the lot in front?
Yeah, the lot in front. Does it have a?
There is.
Yeah, okay. Which is why they need the easement, because they'll probably sell that off.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like I said, the applicant owns that property also.
Right.
There is a vegetated buffer between the existing house and the proposed house. The applicant is going to have to submit a site plan. It's in the engineer's review that it's basically unreviewable without a proper site plan.
So blowing up.
Yeah, it's something that we could actually read.
And will we get that? Or is that just going to?
Yeah, I think we would.
Okay.
Because one of the items that we're reviewing tonight is a plan that was similar to this, where they didn't submit any site plan.
All blanks. All blanks.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I would say we reserve any comment on this until we have a site plan that we can read, unless anybody can come up with a comment with the information that we have as of now.
I can't.
Yeah, we probably are going to have no comment at all in the end but if something shows up in the site plan that's environmental.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Okay.
All right. Next item. We have ZB 2314. The applicant is Irvin H. Green. This is block 6101, lot 4 and 5, located at 4583 Coles Mill Road. It is in the Pinelands Rural Residential Zone. The applicant or the application states that Mr. Green seeks approval for Class 1 adult use cannabis cultivation business. A D variance is requested for non-conforming use, which would be cannabis cultivation. And this application has the exact issue as the last application, where the site plan, this guy hand drew his own site plan, and it's lacking all of the information that we would need to do a site plan review. So this guy is going for the use variance, and I believe a site plan approval. And obviously, without the proper site plan, we can't do an environmental review on it. And I believe this in application, the engineer's comment also states that the applicant needs to submit a site plan, a proper site plan.
What's the road on this one?
Coles Mill.
Oh, this is the Coles Mill. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me see if I can, based on, so the engineer has deemed the application incomplete because of the site plan. So this is another one where we can't make any comment on a site plan with the site plan provided. So I think we should reserve our comments until we have a proper site plan to review.
And this was cannabis cultivation?
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Now, our next application has to do with cannabis cultivation and manufacturing.
Are these the same company? Is it the same?
That I don't know.
Uh-huh.
So this doesn't have a company name. It's just an individual.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like it was in the house. Did I get that right?
Is it the one in the school?
No, it's
No.
the other.
Okay.
Yeah. So this one of these applications has a single family home on it,
Right.
and the applicant did not disclose whether or not they planned on having the single family home remain as a home, because then they would need a variance for having multiple uses on the same lot.
Right.
But they have to decide or declare whether they are going to use that single family home as a separate use or if it would be part of this use.
It
So-
seemed like it seemed like they'd have to be using the house because they didn't say anything about adding another building or converting the garage or anything.
Right. Yeah. So the site plan was just a hand-drawn site plan. That was not discernible. I mean, it's kind of well done for this guy doing it by hand. He definitely has some drafting experience, but it's not quite detailed.
Well, you shouldn't have to pay a fortune to an engineer to do a site plan for you. You should be able to do that, but you do have to get all the right information onto it.
Right. And you can do it by hand by your, for your own site plan, as long as it contains the proper information.
But wasn't one of the engineers' objections or statements that it had to be full size?
He said it had to be to scale. So,
okay.
Yeah. Which this does say it's to scale. It says 1 inch to 20 feet, but maybe that's incorrect. Yeah. There might be some kind of minimum, like 1 inch cannot exceed this many feet.
Right.
So, like I said, I would recommend we reserve our comments on this application, ZB 2314, until we receive further information.
Right.
All right, moving on. ZB 2403. On the agenda, I had this as ZB 23 -- because I didn't know the application number, but it is ZB 2402. The application or the applicant is Garden State Harvest, LLC. This is located at block 1002.03, lots 8, 9, and 10. Street address is 1746 Stanton Ave in the RA zone. The 3 lots together are 3.5 acres. The applicant seeks approval for Class 1 cannabis cultivation and Class 2 cannabis manufacturing facility within the existing building, which is a former school building. This is a bifurcated use variance application, meaning if the use variance is granted, the applicant will return to the board for site plan and associated bulk variance approvals. Meaning they're just going for basically permission to operate their non-conforming use. And if they get that permission, then they'll come back with a site plan and all of the site plan details.
How much acreage?
You know what Class 1 means versus Class 2?
I have no idea. I don't know.
And do you know what's the difference between cultivation and manufacture?
Now, I believe manufacturing would be
Packaging.
making
Anything
gummies.
about the manufacturing of end-use products, but they can't be sold in retail establishment for that. That's controlled by the state.
So anything that's not the actual plant. If you turn the plant into oil, or if you turn the plant into gummies,
Or even if you package it.
or even if you package it. Okay,
That's manufacture.
correct.
Okay.
And I would guess or speculate that Class 1 cannabis cultivation is just simply growing it.
Oh, okay.
So as this being a bifurcated application, I don't think we can really make a comment on allowing this use. Will this use have any environmental impact? Allowing this use, will that have any environmental impact? Barb?
My only concern is that both of these are in residential zones, and last time we had one in a residential zone, they didn't have enough electricity supplied by Atlantic City Electric, and they were going to use a generator full time to produce that extra power, and that's environmentally a problem.
I think that's why we shut.
they need to specify whether they have enough power and the generator, if any, would be just for blackout backup.
That's a great point.
I love it that they're going to use the school though.
It actually looked like a good use.
Yeah, I think so. I agree with you. It's a beautiful school.
Yes, it is. And you know, it looks like they had, you got to see the interior design and everything. It
Yeah.
looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Which one didn't have sufficient power, Barbara?
It was the one in Forest Grove. It was on a farm property. I think it was on Catawba, was it?
Catawba.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so how can we articulate that into a comment? Supplemental energy.
Well, yeah. The question is whether they will have sufficient power and not have to rely on a generator.
Not enough electric power provided to cultivate will require supplemental energy.
And the problem with the generator is the noise.
And the air pollution.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Well,
Exhaust fans.
Yeah, that's right. The smell of the marijuana, right?
To some degree, that would be part of the planning board application that they'll come back with, though.
Okay.
Because they're only applying for a use variance, but one of the questions about power would be a good one.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, it can be suggested to them that they need to be very careful about their exhaust.
Mm-hmm.
Because isn't that what did in one of them? I forget now, but
well, when you're doing a use variance, you had to, talk about the negatives impacts and the positive impacts. So at that point, I think we do need to know if there's going to be the negative impact of a 24-hour operation of a generator in this neighborhood zone.
Yeah, right. That would be part of the negative.
Yeah, so it's something we need to know now, not later after they've given them a variance. It should impact if they're giving it to them or not.
Well, I do think what Margaret was saying was the issue about the smell and not of the generator, but rather of the facility itself, its manufacture or its cultivation or whatever. And I think that would be a matter of what containment devices they have. And that would be part of the planning board application. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that would come later, yes.
Yeah, but the exhaust of a generator, I think it's a valid question now.
Yeah.
I agree. Now, there's also the 3 lots that are part of this application. There are 3 separate lots, and they show it on the application where they are applying all 3 of these lots, like 3 separate lots in one application. So the lot that the building is on is only 0.7 acres. The other lot, so that's lot 9, 0.7 acres. That's the lot that has the building on it. The lot next to that is 0.26 acres. And the lot behind that is 3.46 acres. So the majority of this 4.5 acres is the 3.5 acres. That's the vacant lot behind this building that isn't part of the actual building lot. That would be on the deed. Do you think it would be appropriate if we recommended that they merge these lots so that they have, and maybe this is a recommendation for if the use gets approved, but having a commercial in a building on a lot that is only 7/10 of an acre, would it be appropriate that we recommend that they merge lot 9, the 0.7 acres, with lot 10. So it would give it actually conforming lot size. So instead of having this build, because I don't know why they would include lot 8 and lot 10 on this application. I've never seen it where they include 2 adjoining lots on an application that aren't being proposed, no proposed development on the site.
Well, they might already be listed under the tax record, like the property that I have over at Malaga Lake. It's listed on the tax record as lot 1, but then it says it includes lot 2, 3, and 11.
And a lot of
They
farms
already be combined at the tax office level.
So could possibly be 1 lot already.
Yeah.
Okay.
although not with the same number.
Right.
And I don't know what the legality is of that, you know.
And maybe that question is more appropriate for the site plan review portion of this application, but I thought it was worth noting.
Also, what's the minimum for a business? Isn't it expressed in?
Well, I think in the RA zone, I think it's just 1.5. It's in the RA zone, and that's minimum acreage.
That's probably part of the lot. They're not showing.
And the one the building's on is only point what?
0.7. 0.715 to be exact.
Okay.
All right. So our comment will be concerning the possible necessity of supplemental energy via a generator that could lead to exhaust and noise pollution. All right. Next application is PB 2315. We previously reviewed this application, as I stated already, but weren't able to fully review it because of lack of site plan. The applicant is Matthew White. Block is 6101, lot 11, located at 132 Coles Mill Road in the Pinelands Rural Residential. It's a 73.4 acre lot. They are seeking a minor subdivision approval. The applicant proposes subdividing one existing lot into 3 lots. So what we did notice when we reviewed this last time is that there is significant wetlands on this property right along Coles Mill Road in the form of Faraway Branch. So now that we have a site plan, we see that this lot extends from Coles Mill Road to Tuckahoe Road. Now there is a farm, an active farm that's accessed via Coles Mill Road. So that is going to be isolated as proposed lot 11.01 that has frontage on Coles Mill Road. And then the other portion of the property, so that would be, I believe, the northern portion of the lot. The southern portion of the lot, which is about 31 acres, that would comprise of the other 2 lots, proposed lot 11.03, which is 17 acres, and lot 11.02, which is 14 acres, and that has frontage on Tuckahoe Road. So it looks like the applicant is intending to create the 2 new lots to make them conforming lots for single-family homes with frontage on Tuckahoe Road. They do not seek any variances or waivers, so this is a by right subdivision. And other than the wetlands, which don't look like they're going to, like that lot will really be changed at all, or that portion of the lot, I don't think there's any comment that we can really make on this application.
Can you give me the acreages again for the northern lot is 11.2? That's what the number would become?
So the northern lot would be 11.02. That's the lot number. And the acreage is 42.5 acres.
Okay. And then the southern ones, it's
11.02 is 14 acres.
But that's the same number. Wait a minute. That's the same number as the first one.
I'm sorry. It's 11.01 is the northern lot.
Okay. That's 14 acres. And then
no, the northern lot 11.01 is 42 and a half.
Oh, okay, I get it. All right.
Yeah, and then there's two lots on the southern portion, 11.02, which is 14 acres, and 11.03, which is 17 acres.
Okay.
So, yeah, like I said, it looks like, according to the plan, now there's no, they're not proposing any development on these lots, but they look like they will probably sell them or use them to build single family homes. And specifically or strictly as a subdivision, I don't see any environmental problems with this. Now, the wetlands along Coles Mill Road, the wetlands extend through the entire portion of the lot. You know, from the eastern boundary to the western boundary, there's wetlands. So to access the active farm, their access road, which isn't shown on the plan. Oh, actually it is shown. And it's like right on the edge of the lot line. And it actually looks like the lot to the west. The driveway is like right on the border of lot 10, which is just to the west of this, which is not within the wetlands. So they're barely getting by, not going through the wetlands through their access here. But the wetland buffer, the 300-foot wetland buffer, it is cleared because they show the limit of clearing on the plan. And it looks like there's approximately 200 to 250 feet worth of the 300-foot buffer that is cleared, which, you know, leads us to believe that it's probably being cultivated, which could be an issue now that I look at it. You can't have a farm in a wetland buffer, right? That would be a violation. You have active agricultural practice within a wetland buffer?
No.
So I'll try to hold this up and show you guys exactly what I'm talking about here. Yes. All right. So you can't really tell, but this is the limit of clearing. So this is the tree line, which it looks like it's really hard to see. And this is the wetland buffer right here. So here's the wetland buffer, and here is the tree clearing. And here is the actual wetlands. So this is the wetland buffer, and then this is the tree line. So I would assume that since that's the tree line, that it's actually being farmed. So that's speculating on my part. If it's cleared, then you would assume that it's...
That it's already cleared? That it's already cleared, or that they're proposing that?
No, it is already cleared. And even with that being said, I don't know what kind of impact that would have on a subdivision approval.
How much of that land is being farmed right now?
It looks like pretty much everything that's cleared, because you can see it from the road. Right. So So, and when I take a look at going 50 miles per hour down the road, when I take a look at it, it looks like it's all being farmed. So maybe we can just make a note of that and pass that along to the planning board. But I don't really think it would impact subdividing this property.
No, I think all they want is roofs for subdividing. What they do later.
So now this is in the Pinelands. So they would need Pineland certificate of filing. And I don't know who would have
They didn't
George.
get it though. I don't think they applied for it yet, did they?
No, it wasn't submitted with the application packet.
Right.
They don't need it yet.
No.
They only need it when prior to development of the lots, they don't need it to subdivide the lot. I asked Joe that question already.
Mm.
Okay.
And the farming may be historic before wetlands, before pinelands. So
Yeah.
it may be exempt due to the amount of time it's been farmed.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're probably right. It's grandfathered in, basically.
Pinelands will look at all of that when they go to get their certificate of filing to develop.
Okay. Well, in that case, I would suggest that we make no comment on this application. Unless anyone else thinks differently.
Hope they don't cut all the trees when they go to develop.
Yeah, because the other two lots are entirely wooded.
Yeah, right. I would have thought their Pinelands credits just for a woodland management plan would have been just as good as subdividing and selling off the lots, but who knows?
Unless they want to build homes for themselves or for their family.
Yeah, if that's what they want to do, that's a different story, kind of.
All right, we will move on to the final application that we have to review tonight. That's PB 2304. Applicant is Gloucester Solar 1 LLC. It concerns block 1902, lot 1, located on Fries Mill Road between Washington Ave and Grant Ave. It's a total of 262 acres. I didn't write what zone this is. I believe it's actually, I don't know.
It's in that manufacturing, or that light industrial zone or manufacture.
Business mixed use, I think.
Yes, it's business use. So they would be seeking a use variance. I believe, no, I didn't read this, but I'm guessing that they need a use variance for a non-conforming use.
I don't think so. I think they were turned down and they sued and they won. That's where they're going to planning board. It's now a by right application.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
So they're going for site plan approval. They're asking for a waiver from no fences in the front yard. Even though they're claiming not to have a front yard because it's got frontage on all four sides. But I still believe they might need a waiver for that, but they also need a waiver for sidewalks. So
the waiver they're requesting is so that they don't have to put a fence, or that they can put a fence.
Or the waiver is actually they wouldn't be allowed to have a fence, and they're asking for a waiver to allow a fence.
Oh, okay.
So I might have stated that backwards.
Now, is it the height of the fence that they're asking for the waiver?
No, it's just having a fence in a front yard.
Oh,
I thought you were allowed to have a fence in the front yard. There was just a height limitation.
Let's see if I can find that. There's a lot to this application, so I may have missed that detail. Let's see.
Well, Barb, you have a fence in your front yard.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what the applicant proposes. The proposed development includes a fence along all property lines. The entire property is surrounded by streets. Therefore, each yard is considered a front yard according to the ordinance. The proposed fence is necessary for security purposes and is set back 75 feet from property lines behind the landscape buffer. The ordinance defines a front yard to include the area between the street line and the front of the building. The required minimum front yard setback in the zoning district is 50 feet. The fence is proposed to be set back 25 feet more than the required front yard. With all yards acting as front yards, there exists a unique situation impacting the placement of warranting variance relief in this instance.
So what kind of fence are they talking about?
I believe it's a chain link fence, but I would have to look at the plan to see for sure.
And then they're going to have plantings also along with that.
Yeah, but just to clarify on the fence, it says fences are not permitted in the front yard with any commercial or industrial district.
Oh, I wonder why.
Oh.
So it's only commercial or industrial districts where the front yard fences are not permitted.
And they say they needed to protect the property.
Yeah, yeah.
People try to break the solar panels.
Well, you know, electrocuted.
Yeah, Mark said people could get electrocuted, which is a good point. And I think it's industry standard to have a fence around solar fields. I think they usually always have fences.
Okay.
And as far as sidewalks, the ordinance state all major site developments are required to provide 4-foot wide sidewalks within a 10-foot utility strip. No sidewalks are proposed. A 10-foot utility strip has been added around the perimeter of the site. The applicant is seeking a design waiver from the sidewalk requirements.
Where is this?
Eismo Road.
So as far as design waivers, that is all that they are requesting.
Great. Somewhere around
And why would you put sidewalks in?
Yeah.
I don't care if they have sidewalks.
Yeah, but nobody uses it.
No. I mean, I don't care that they're not going to put sidewalks in.
Oh.
And in fact, I kind of reject the sidewalk in a rural community like this. I mean, except where they're obviously appropriate, where people are actually going to walk between stores.
Yeah, there's nobody that would
Not for a solar field, right? That doesn't make sense. It's stupid.
Sidewalks.
And it's more impermeable surface, right?
That's right. Just in case of that. Now, what about the landscaping? What does it say about that? Because that was one of the things that we felt was.
So they plan to have a 25-foot wide planting of evergreen trees. And those trees are holly trees, white pines, and arborvitae. So those trees will be, the evergreen buffer will be set back 25 yards or 25 feet from the
From the 50-foot requirement of the fence.
Yes.
The whole thing will be 75 feet back. So maybe the trees will be in front of the fence. They'll be within that 25 feet.
Right. So from the road, I should have started from the road. They plan on adding street trees every 50 feet. And those street trees would be maple, plane tree maple, which is sycamore, red maple cultivars, common hackberry, swamp white oak, golden weeping willow, and weeping willows.
That's not evergreens much.
Well, these are street trees. They have, they have street trees around the perimeter. And then
sounds charming. That's
about 25 feet back from that will be the evergreen trees.
Oh, okay.
List of the species that I already noted. So there will be a street tree buffer, which won't really add too much of the buffer because they're planted 50 feet away. So in 50 years, it will provide a buffer. But the evergreen buffer is what would really provide a site buffer, any type of sound buffer. And so our comments, when we reviewed this last time, let me find my comment sheet here.
Security lighting.
We reviewed this application on May 22nd of 2023. And we had 6 comments. The first comment being landscape buffer consisting of multiple rows of staggered evergreen trees recommended along border of entire property, which they addressed in this latest revision of the site plan. Another comment we had was proposed plan creates potential for heat island effect that could increase temperatures in the surrounding area. So if that is the case, then this buffer would at least mitigate that to some extent. Now, to what extent that a heat island effect could be imposed, I don't know about that. And it's a possibility, but I think it's kind of impossible to determine exactly what kind of heat island effect that this would have. I don't know of any research that has been done to find those numbers.
Did you say we reviewed it in 2022?
2023.
23. It was 23. Okay.
Yes, it was May 22nd, 2023.
Oh, that's where I got it to. Okay.
Our third comment was noise emissions from proposed plan creates potential noise disturbances. Now, the buffer would also limit the amount of noise. Not entirely, but to a degree. Fourth comment was substation/inverter building could potentially emit harmful EMF radiation, which that is not a subject that I am that I really know a lot about. I know somebody else brought that up. We also put that on our comment sheet for the satellite or the pole.
The tower.
Yeah, the cell tower. And nobody brought that up at the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how much that is likely to happen to EMF radiation.
And I thought the substation was not on this site. Am I wrong about that?
There is on the site. There is one.
Oh, it is on the site. That's right. Initially, it didn't look like it was, but then, yeah, you're right. Okay.
Our fifth comment was light intrusion on neighboring properties presents potentially harmful impacts to people and wildlife. So the evergreen buffer would eliminate any light intrusion possibilities. Potential glare created, our sixth comment, potential glare created by large-scale solar field could be harmful to neighbors and motorists. This is an issue that I brought up to one of the planners for this solar array at the hearing for the Scotland Run, the hearing for about the line that they want to run through the park. And the engineer for this company told me that they had to do surveys for the FAA, proving that there is no glare that would impact pilots. And, their research indicated that there would be no potential glare, and the FAA has approved that research. So I think, we can take that off of our next comment sheet because that issue has been addressed about any potential glare.
Another question, the evergreens, do they tell you how frequently they'll be planted? The street trees, 50 feet apart, and they're deciduous trees, so,
Yeah,
fine, but
10 feet from center.
What does it say?
Staggered 10 feet from center. Staggered
10 feet apart.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the rows are 10 feet. So it's 2 rows.
Right.
Each row is 10 feet apart, and each individual tree is 10 feet apart.
So they're standard.
That's good.
Yeah, it is.
Well, from center, it's still 10 and 10.
Right. So each tree will grow 5 feet out towards the other tree.
Yeah.
Are they going to plant nice mature trees? It'd be nice if they
Also-
could plant large, tall trees already growing instead of little seedlings.
Well, they probably,
Well, how tall would they let the trees get? It's going to very counterintuitive.
The estimated height of the trees will be eastern white pine and green giant arborvitae are estimated to grow as tall as 50 feet, and the holly trees 30 to 40 feet.
that's what they grow too. But I guess what we're asking is how big will they be to start? They'll be saplings. Yeah, they're not going to be
Oh yeah, at planting. There are all deciduous trees shall be 2-inch caliper or larger at the time of planting.
What does that mean?
So that means the trunk of the tree only has to be 2 inches wide when they plant it.
but that's a
That's
more than, a lot more than a seedling for a deciduous tree. But what about for the evergreen?
That I don't believe is specified. But I just want to clarify that Mark made a good point about the trees being on center. So since there's 2 rows and they're centered every 10 feet and they're staggered, it's really 5 feet between each tree.
Yeah.
Okay.
Question.
Yeah.
Why are they putting arborvitaes, which are non-native and tend to get bagworms? And why white pines that are going to lose all the leaves at the bottom as they get
Bigger.
Well, we could make a recommendation on different tree species. Instead of arborvitae, eastern red cedar is a great replacement for that.
Mhm.
And white pine. Yeah, they do eventually lose the lower limbs. They get shaded out, but that often takes several decades to happen.
I mean, holly trees tend to be really good.
Yeah, they're shade tolerant, so they
And
don't really.
they usually bulk up from the bottom and
Yes.
stay at the bottom, even if they get to be 45 feet tall.
I'm just curious, and I'm sorry to interrupt. Is anybody else having problems with the hearing? It's all jarbled, and I'm getting some. It's hard to understand what's going on. It's all. I guess it. I don't know. The words are hard to understand. The audio.
Well,
No.
we're just discussing. It's not happening on our end,
No, okay.
but it is. We're just discussing the evergreen trees.
Yes. I did gather that, but I was just curious if people are having trouble. So I'm the only one. I seem to be the only one.
Yeah, you sound clear as can be.
Uh-huh. Okay.
I do hear an echo when I'm talking, but I don't know what that's from. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I don't
So
hear that.
everything is fine on our end until Margaret just started speaking, and then it started breaking up. So I didn't really hear anything that was said in like the last 30 seconds. And it was completely fine up until then.
Oh, I'm so happy that it broke up for you, John. I'm so happy. You know, at least you know that it's very hard for me to say I approve the minutes because I don't really know. So, you know.
Has it been breaking up on you all meeting?
Yes, but it's very bad for the last 5 minutes.
And you didn't break up for me at all. So, you know,
okay,
makes no sense.
Yeah, it's getting worse and worse over here.
Oh, I'm thrilled.
So unfortunately, there's not much we can do.
Okay.
Do we want to make a suggestion about evergreen trees other than the arborvitae, in place of the arborvitae?
Yes, I think we should recommend eastern red cedar instead of the arborvitae. It's a native tree. It's fast growing.
Right.
It's and it's native, so it supports local wildlife.
Right.
And it's hardy. It's as hardy as they get as far as trees go. It can withstand drought. It can withstand extreme temperatures. As far as the white pines, I don't think white pine is a terrible idea. They do eventually lose their leaves after several decades, but I think that the solar panels would have to be replaced before that's an issue. But we could make a suggestion. The only problem with that is there really aren't any native conifers that make a great replacement for that. Now, Norway spruce would be a good replacement, although it's not native. It does tolerate shade on the lower portion of the branches. It also grows somewhat quickly, and it's used quite frequently. So Norway spruce could be an alternative to an eastern white pine if we wanted to make that suggestion.
Yeah, no.
Now you're freezing altogether, so I don't even hear any noise.
I think Norway spruce does make a better tree than the white pine.
And it does grow quickly, that's for sure. And it definitely keeps its lower limbs. You have to cut them off if you want to be able to walk under it.
It'll screen a lot better.
Yeah.
In the long run.
Are you able to hear?
So you guys were breaking up I know you were discussing white pine, but you were breaking up.
We're saying Norway spruce is a better alternative, we think.
Yeah.
Could you hear that? No?
I heard it.
Okay. Yes, I got that. We can suggest Norway spruce as an alternative to eastern white pine.
Ultimately, the American holly is the best screener of all of them, but it probably grows a little slower.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I think that's that pretty much covers that. I mean, there is a lot of information on this plan. There's 53 drawings in this packet, 53 full-size plans covering everything from the grading to vehicle circulation, landscape, substation plan. So, I've only had these plans for a couple hours, so I didn't get a chance to go through every single plan here, but I think we covered the most important stuff.
What about management of the turf?
They propose appropriate native naturalized solar farm seed mixes will be used for ground cover stabilization for the project. Mixes under and around arrays will contain low maintenance grasses that grow less than 2 feet tall unless additional higher growing species are identified that may be compatible with needed maintenance regimes. So they don't say what kind of plants they'll use, but they will be using a specific native slash naturalized seed mix specifically for solar installation.
So we don't know if they're going to be mowing or spraying or what their intention is?
Well, let's see. There's a little more here. In addition, pollinator-friendly plant species such as white clover will be used to promote the presence, use, and health of honeybees and other pollinators by improving the quality and quantity of overall acreage for the pollinators. Experts will be consulted and their recommendations provided to local conservation districts for review. The ratio of white clover to grass seed mix will be approved by Gloucester County Soil Conservation District Office. Appropriate pollinator seed mix will be utilized for planting landscape buffer pollinator locations. This seed mix will provide a variety of native wildflowers and grasses. If necessary, overseeding by 10 or 20% of multiple seeding applications may be performed in order to establish acceptable levels of coverage.
Well, it sounds like they won't be spraying because that would defeat the purpose of what they just talked about.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and the fact that they're putting a tree buffer around the entire thing is great.
Yeah, that was our main complaint.
Main concern, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They listened. They listened.
Maybe they already would have done it anyway. I don't know. I don't know if anybody listens to us.
I don't know. It seems like they were just waiting for our comment sheet to proceed any further on this application.
Oh, I love it.
We wish. We wish.
I'll sleep well tonight.
So like I said, there's a lot more information about this project. If anybody's interested in seeing that, the plans are at the municipal building. But I feel comfortable leaving our comments to the tree suggestions. Now, as for our previous comments, the 6 that I described earlier, should we, I guess we should edit those, whereas we should remove the potential glare because that's been addressed. And the landscape buffer will address light intrusion, will address...
Well, how high are the towers? How do you know?
Well, the engineer for the company told me that they had to get FAA approval and prove that there isn't a glare.
That's for plane neighbors and...
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, I guess
if they put in, 4-foot shrubs to start with, towers are 8 feet around it. I mean, they're going to be mounted directly to the ground.
Well, they won't be directly to the ground, but I'm sure it says in here.
They actually have them dug in. They run past them all the time, they actually dig out and they're all.
Now, I've never noticed glare going past this solar field.
There is no glare. There's no glare. I have a solar array and there's no glare.
I have a solar array and there's tons of glare, so.
I don't know why yours would have glare.
It all depends how they work.
Well, maybe we should leave it on the sheet just to, put that issue out there, and hopefully maybe our planning board liaison will bring that up at the meeting and just have the applicant testify to it, which I'm sure they will anyway. The applicant will testify to glare, I'm sure, if they had to go through the process of getting the FAA certification. But yeah, maybe we can keep the glare. So let's see, what's our thing say on that? Potential glare created by large-scale solar field could be harmful to neighbors and motorists. Should we leave that comment on here?
Yeah.
Okay. It can't. All right. So the other one, the light intrusion, that will be mitigated by the evergreen buffer. Noise emissions from proposed plans creates potential noise disturbances. I mean, that could still be an issue, and having it on our review sheet or our comment sheet will possibly make them or provoke them to bring up the issue. So I think we should keep.
The initial comment is saying noise from what?
I believe it had to do with the inverter building. One of the buildings.
Right. Okay. That's a different.
So
question.
I can I don't know. I would have to go back and watch the recording of the meeting to know exactly, because it just says from proposed plan. But I believe someone specifically was bringing up from the substation or inverter building.
Do they normally have noise?
I don't know.
There's a hum.
The hum. Oh.
Yeah, they give off humming noise.
And there's clicking.
And
Okay,
will the buffer help reduce that?
I mean, I would imagine it mitigates it to some extent, but I don't know to what extent.
It's also inside a building, so it may be less noise than when you're standing outside next to the inverter, like in my yard.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. It's still not an annoying noise, but we're only talking about a small scale situation in my yard, not 200 and something acres worth of inverter.
Right. Does every panel have an inverter?
No, they're
No.
fed to the inverter.
Oh, okay.
Now, similar to the comment about glare, I don't think that it would hurt at all to keep this comment on here.
No.
Yeah, because you're
I think,
asking.
I think it should relate back to the inverter and the building or whatever.
The substation?
The substation, yes.
Okay, I will.
Because I don't think it was very clear. But,
Okay. Next one was proposed plan creates potential for heat island effect that could increase temperatures in surrounding area. Should we?
we don't know.
Now, I believe the Environmental Commission member that had many of these concerns was Jeff Link, and he's not here tonight to expound on those concerns, unfortunately.
Well, leave it on there then. Perhaps they can address it.
All right. The other comment was the landscape buffer, which is addressed.
Mm-hmm.
And the final comment, substation / inverter building could potentially emit harmful EMF radiation. I don't know enough about that one way or the other to claim that it should stay or we should remove that comment. Does anybody have any insight on EMF radiation?
I think we were supposed to have done some research about that, and I just didn't do any research about that.
Were you supposed to do it, Margaret?
I don't know if I was. I thought that that's what we decided that maybe we should all investigate that.
Yeah.
And I did not.
Well, I didn't remember that was a charge, but I know nothing at all about this, and I don't feel like it's necessarily the comment that we need to leave there.
Okay.
I agree. I don't want to put stuff on here that we're not certain about. That can kind of delegitimize our other comments.
That's right. Exactly.
So we will extract that from the comment sheet.
Okay.
All right, so the three comments that we have, just to reiterate, proposed plan creates potential for heat island effect, noise emissions from proposed substation inverter creates potential noise, and the third, potential glare created by large-scale solar field could be harmful to neighbors and motorists.
Right. We might want to put a positive comment on for a change, that vegetated buffers
It sounds beautiful.
sound great. You know,
We are grateful. We are grateful.
I don't think we have to say that, but I think they certainly mitigate any concern about vegetation and appearance.
Yeah. And maybe flooding.
Even though we're going to make a comment about specific trees, but still, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe as part of that comment, you can put in a little complimentary verbiage or choice of words. Okay, we need to go on. That's a lot of apps.
Yeah, that's a lot of applications, but that was the last one.
Okay.
All right, let's see. What's next on the agenda?
Old business, Piney Hollow.
All right, Piney Hollow. I haven't been able to make it out to Piney Hollow recently. I was hoping to, but I haven't. But I did see on the Township Committee agenda for tomorrow night, there is a resolution authorizing the soliciting of bids/proposals for Green Acres Development Project, commonly known as Piney Hollow Preservation Trail Improvements. So Township Committee will vote tomorrow on approving this to go out to bid. I haven't seen the bid. I'm going to ask the administrator if he will send us a copy of the bid so that we can see it.
Yeah.
But it's encouraging to know that it's going to go into the Township Committee to vote, and this keeps on moving forward. So once I contact the administrator, I will let everyone know. If we get that, I'll forward it to everybody.
Okay.
Did you see Jason's comment that maybe the township could mail each of us the applications instead of you getting them and having to send them out to each of us?
Yeah, and I'm going to forward that recommendation to the zoning and planning secretary to include all of us on those, because I email them every month and ask them for any applications, but I've never asked them to forward them to all of us at the same time, which is something that I should do. So moving forward, I will ask them to do that.
Yep.
Yeah, because there was 43 attachments.
Oh my God. Yeah,
Yep.
that's right. You said it. Yeah.
All right, so next is Malaga Lake Park. There's been no word on any grants for the park. So I don't really know where that goes. I know time's running out very quickly, and I imagine if they haven't submitted grants yet, then it's probably not going to happen, but I can ask Mr. Finley about that, if they ever actually submitted the grants for it. Because I know there's about 2 weeks, I believe, until the deadline.
Yeah.
I did walk the trail on Saturday, the nature trail. Really nothing to report. It was snow covered. And I could tell from all the footprints that there was a lot of people using the park, even in the inclement weather. There was a lot of footprints, which is good, meaning a lot of people are using the trail and getting use out of the trail. So next potential projects for 2022. I came up with
we still need to get together a list of materials that we need to replace the posts, etc. Right?
Yeah. So I was going to allude to that in the potential projects for 2024. We could have a Malaga Lake Park cleanup and replacement of the posts. Maybe make that a community event, the cleanup and the replacing the trail markers. So we typically have our cleanup there in April around Earth Day, but we don't get much participation. I think one of the reasons is there's like Little League. So there's kids playing baseball and softball and a lot of other activities going on in the spring. So I was thinking possibly moving it forward to March 23rd, which is the first weekend of spring. So that's like an advertising point there. Come celebrate the first weekend of spring by helping to clean up the park. And we could ask for,
if we offered any kind of drink and cookies, I think we might get some. We could get some people. Yeah.
Well, cookies always sweeten the deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's one of the potential projects. And thinking about it now, I should have made a list of potential projects and forwarded that list to everybody, so you could all see exactly what I was thinking here. But another potential project, as we stated last month, is updating the ERI, the Environmental Resource Inventory. Suzanne, I wanted to get your opinion on whether it would be wise to pursue that the same year that we're doing the master plan reexamination. Do you think that would interfere? And I know you're on the master plan reexamination subcommittee, so that might stretch you kind of thin, because I think on the ERI update, you would kind of be the leader on that.
I don't think it's a problem to do both. I don't really think they conflict, but because we're probably going to have to get some money to get the updating of the ERI done by some other group. I did put in a call to DVRPC, but I haven't gotten a call back to find out if they're still doing them, because I wanted to get some idea of cost for an update. The problem with an update is you almost are doing the whole publication from scratch, except for a few sections, because you're pulling all the current data and then looking at it, mapping it, summarizing it, etc. So it doesn't really reduce the work level. You can leave your history alone, but it doesn't reduce much else. You can leave your soils right up alone, things like that, but you can't. But your land use will have changed. Your contaminated sites probably will have changed. Hopefully, gotten better, not worse. Your water condition, your aquifer condition, etc. Because you have to use a more updated data, it changes. It creates almost the same level of work. So I'll try to get an idea. I also went into the Sustainable New Jersey site to see, but I couldn't really tell how much money you could get from them. They have grants that come through PSE&G, and they have $2,000 grants, and then they seem to have $5,000 and $10,000. Well, for an ERI, you need $10,000 for sure, probably, and then the town has to match it, which it can do out of its open space fund. So I'll keep on going to try to get a little bit more precise idea of where it could be done, who could do it, and what it would cost, because it should be done. That's one of the prime documents for the township, actually. They may think.
Do you think the master plan reexamination, any changes to the master plan would impact information in the ERI?
Not much.
I know it's an inventory of natural resources, basically.
It's not a plan of action. It's just an inventory, but it's the only impact would be from any changes to zoning that come out of the master plan process, but they would still not be major, I don't think.
All right. Well, we will wait to hear back from the information that you're pursuing.
Yeah. I mean, it's good information now, but it's not as current as it needs to be. And if you look at Sustainable New Jersey, we are actually registered with them. We registered a long time ago. I went in to see, what's the advantage? Well, you can get some money, but it's more of a reputation thing, more of a prestige thing. It's really what your town should be working on. They have a whole lot of things. You accumulate points for different projects, and one of them is having a current ERI. You get 10 points right off the bat for that. And then you ultimately get enough points to become certified, bronze or silver. Other things, energy analysis. I don't think we've ever done it. I mean, except what the Environmental Commission did. We did a tree survey, for example, but we got no credit for it in the Sustainable New Jersey count because we didn't have anything else. How much have we ever assessed energy use of the buildings that the township owns? Just as a start. But in order to do anything with Sustainable New Jersey, you have to have a green team. And we never put together a green team, nor did any of us want to run a green team when we're already sitting on the Environmental Commission, although we might be willing to serve on it. So that's a bit of a problem,
I think
It's
a
got a
long
lot
time
of
ago, Barb kind of suggested.
I'm sorry?
I think a long time ago, Barb suggested that they get a free audit on their buildings.
An energy audit.
Yeah, and that would be all done up by somebody else, like the Atlantic City Electric, and.
But they basically reimburse. So the town has to put out money initially. That's the way it worked before. They have to and then they reimburse for it. If you implement any of the suggestions, something to that effect. I can't quite remember that. And then we did do an energy audit with the Stockton students. We have that document as well. But that was really more. That was more limited. They weren't doing building audit. They were discussing traffic and recycle aspects.
Well, that kind of leads me into my next potential project, along with the tree survey that was done. I want to make an attempt to digitize. Now, I have boxes and boxes of old Environmental Commission documents that I received from Suzanne and from Jay Moynier.
We could give you a lot more.
So I was thinking it could be a potential project to digitize all those documents, basically just taking pictures of them and converting them into PDFs.
Yes.
So we could have all of these boxes of old documents in digital form, so they're easily accessible. So that's something somebody could do in their downtime. Evan, it seems like you're pretty good with computer stuff. Maybe that's something that you could spend some time on if we choose to pursue that.
Yeah.
And also, I thought it might be beneficial for the Environmental Commission to come up with some guidelines, or maybe guidelines isn't the right word, but a document that states the potential environmental impact of cannabis cultivation and manufacturing, because we're getting a lot of these applications lately, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot more of them. Mm-hmm. And if we had a specific document that we did some research to provide potential environmental hazards that are associated with the cultivation of and manufacturing of cannabis, it would be helpful for us to know that and to have a document.
Or we could just leave it up to the neighbors, who will raise all kinds of ruckus at the meetings because they don't want it within 10 square miles of their home. I figured they'd take care of it all.
Yes, they certainly will, but I was hoping we could have something that, has something more fact-based than opinion-based.
And you think that what the Environmental Commission puts out would be accepted by the township people?
Well, even if we just used it for our own use, or every time we reviewed one of these applications, almost have a checklist, like of potential hazards.
All right.
Just an idea.
Uh-huh.
So that was what I had for potential projects. I don't know if anybody else has any ideas.
Yeah, I came across, I didn't get a chance to copy this so that I could send it to everybody, but I found an ANJEC document, 40 feasible projects for environmental commissions. And some of them were good ideas. I mean, I'm not going to read you all 40. But one of them I thought was a good one was to organize and catalog your environmental commission library. I'm not even sure what we have in either files or library. And we need to make sure that they don't get dumped. They're in that old ambulance building. They're the one file cabinet with documents in it when most of those file cabinets are empty. So I'm kind of concerned about that. I'm not sure that's the right place for it to be to start with. And secondly, it would be helpful to know what's in there. Do we have a library anymore? Did we ever? Those, whatever books we do have, if any, should be available to anybody who on the commission or working with the commission that would like to have access to them. Also, other suggestions on here have to do with running an environmental movie series, broadcasting on cable TV, a public service announcement related to the environment, things like that. In other words, getting out the word more to the public, including having somebody present to the environmental club at the high school, developing a walking tour for residents. You can develop an energy conservation week if we want to pursue the sustainable Jersey stuff. A display on environmental issues for the library or the town hall or some other meeting place. Coordinating with historical and recreation commissions better. Creating a brochure to distribute about our environmental commission activities, which then might bring more people when we try to do an event. Mm-hmm. If more people knew about us. Enlarge your workforce, it says. Appoint associate members.
Well, we know that one's not likely.
Well, there's no legislation that says that you can't have associate members. I still say that's a whole teacup, tempest in a teacup kind of crap. Mm-hmm. You can adopt a stream, a landfill, a woodland, historic structure, or park. Well, we kind of have the parks.
Yeah, or a roadside.
Yeah, or roadside. Prepare a slideshow on the features of the town and take it on the road to schools and civic association meetings. Those are easy to say and harder to do, but and do a build out of what your zoning means. If you look at your zoning and it actually got built the way it's laid out in the zoning law and map, what would it look like in this town? It would be horrendous. But anyway, and plant a tree on Arbor Day. We could actually do that. I don't know that it would bring anybody else out at that time of year. Environmental photo contest, and talk to your high school environmental club about your commission's activities. Work with your public works department and Board of Education to adopt integrated pest management. Those are the main things that I saw on that list that I thought were all good ideas. I'll send you out this list. You can look at it yourselves, but
I really like the idea of a promotional video for the Environmental Commission. I saw one of those recently on YouTube from another environmental commission in New Jersey, and it was basically just an environmental commission kind of explaining what an environmental commission does, the goals of the environmental commission, and how to get or encouraging the community to get involved in a environmental commission. So
And it was a video, not a slideshow,
yes,
right?
it was. I think it was like a 6-minute video.
Yeah. A little harder to put together, but not impossible. I like the idea of going and meeting with the environmental club at the high school every year. I think we've always talked about it, but to have the students come to us, a student come and say, sit on the commission or attend meetings, one, they don't have much time, and two, it's kind of tedious for them. They're more interested in the natural history world, I think, than they are in the applications that are going in front of the planning board or whatever. So it's hard to keep them coming. But if we went to them.
I'm trying. I get.
Sorry, guys.
What's something
okay.
happened,
I didn't even hear anything.
They can't hear us now.
Yeah, we didn't hear it.
Yeah.
It wouldn't turn off. I literally just.
Scared you guys, right?
I do know that there are environmental commissions with student members.
Oh, yeah.
Don't know.
But I sort of feel like the student members who've come in the past, not often, didn't ever stick around. And I thought maybe it was because it was,
No. No.
I don't know, too
Interesting.
Yeah, or something. I'm not sure. But
Yeah. All right. Well, in the interest of time, I am going to move on. I feel like we got a lot of potentials for projects for this year.
right.
So we can send out a list to everybody, and everybody kind of think about those projects and think about what would be appropriate for us to pursue this year.
Okay.
So the next agenda item was the meeting dates. I just wanted to remind everybody that our meetings this year, as always, will be on the fourth Monday of each month, with the exception of May. The May meeting will be the third Monday of the month, which will be May 20th, because the fourth Monday is on Memorial Day. So other than May, every meeting is on the fourth Monday of the month. And that has been published in the Sentinel and will be recurring monthly before our meeting to inform the public of our meetings. We already did EC appointments. ANJEC dues. So ANJEC dues this year have gone up quite a bit. It's $425 for seven members, plus $45 per additional member. So for all 11 members, alternates, and liaisons, it would be $605 for the year of 2024.
Well, I pay. I don't know. Does that count? I pay my way.
Well, yeah, I mean, that would subtract $45. And Suzanne, I know you have been a private member, so
Right,
that would be another $45. So total would be
So we
$500.
basically allocated our memberships. We thought that the township should pay for the 7 commissioners and the 2 liaisons and the alternates, and that we would pay for additional people like Barbara. Well, it was Bill, would have been Bill, but he's now an alternate. So we could allocate one of our memberships to Barbara and one to an alternate.
Well, now this will
That would make
basically,
it 7, 8, 9, 10. That would make 10 memberships, which is just a little bit better.
so that would be $560. Now, our budget the last couple of years has been $500 a year, and this ANJEC dues comes out of our budget. So we not only will we use all of our budget for ANJEC dues, but we will exceed our budget.
Now, well, we have to ask for a budget increase.
We could ask for a budget.
If they were paying for a secretary, there'd be an additional $1,000 added onto that, and they haven't paid that for over a year. What is it? How long have I been doing the minutes? A year and a half?
Longer than that. This would be at least the 4th year.
4th year? This is the 4th year?
Yes, Suzanne.
Oh, well,
More
okay,
than that.
$4,000. They can allocate
That's
$4,000 to us this year.
I think it's probably the fifth year.
It's more than that because Carolyn quit my first year as chair and I was doing it for years.
Well, remember, we did have Sarah for a while, but we only had her for about 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Suzanne, you've been doing it for years. You could have bought yourself a new car.
Oh, yeah. If only I were getting paid, yeah.
Well, I don't know. We have to figure out if we want to, what do we get from ANJAC? For the last several years, all we've really gotten is the pamphlet that they mail to us.
That's up to us, though, as to what we use. I've gone to several of their things, so I don't agree with it not being I think it's an important membership. If we don't want to give it to everybody officially, fine. We only need to pay for 5 regular members and 2 alternates, or just 1 alternate, because only 1 is actually participating.
Well, the minimum you can do is it's $425 for 7 members. So okay. I believe that would be the minimum. And the reason that I bring this up, and I'm somewhat hesitant to proceed on this, is that it would use up all of our budget for things like posts for the trail at Malaga Lake Park. We're less likely to get that approved because that would probably come out of the Environmental Commission budget.
Well, I'm sorry, they have to increase the budget. It's just ridiculous.
It's for the park. It doesn't need to come out of your budget. It could come out of Public Works. It could come out of open space. It doesn't have to be your budget.
That's right.
Yeah. We can try to pursue it that way. Absolutely. And I will try to do that. Basically what I'm saying is
I might start charging the township anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll resign and just start charging the township. And then I can give it to the Environmental Commission and you'll have a budget.
Yeah, you could do that. And then we would have double the budget we have now.
That's right. That's right. You hear all this, Mark?
Down here.
All right. So if we want to pursue ANJAC membership, we have to take a vote on that. So if anyone would like, if we want to decide right now, and if someone would like to make a motion to become members of ANJAC for 2024, we are open for that motion and can take a roll call vote on it.
I propose that we become members of ANJAC for 2024.
I think it's a good organization and it's about exactly what we ideally would be doing. And, I think it's inspiration as to what we could be doing if we had ears.
Sounds like a second to me. So there's a motion on the floor that we become ANJAC members. So I will take a roll call vote on that. Like I said, for 7 members, it will be $425. We should specify before we make a vote exactly how many members we will include.
And I are taken care of.
So for the 7 members and the 2 liaisons and 2 alternates, that's 11 members. So we need 2 less than that. So we need 9 members, which would be $515. $515. Do we want to include liaisons and alternates?
No.
Okay, well, we have to include 7 members anyway. So that would include 7 members. So that would cover the 7 Environmental Commission members. And because 2 members have private memberships, that would open 2 other members between the 2 liaisons and the 2 alternates. 2 of them will be basically 2 open spots that we can add on that.
Well, let's put our 2 liaisons into that and then add one more membership to the 7. And that would cover one alternate, which I think is all we need to provide.
Yeah, I agree. So that would be 8 members for a total of, let's see, $470. Okay. I just wanted to get the cost exact before we moved forward on the vote for the motion.
And it's under our budget.
Yes. So the motion is to become ANJEC members for 2024 at a cost of $470. Roll call vote. Jason is absent. Margaret?
Yes.
Frank is absent. Jeff is absent. Suzanne?
Yes.
Evan?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. And those are all of the applicable votes. So we have 4 yes votes. So motion carries. And I will fill out the application, the dues application, and forward it to the clerk.
Okay.
I'll include the administrator on that also.
Suzanne, may I clarify something with you? Did you say that you couldn't get paid if you're a member of the Environmental Commission?
Correct.
You get paid for being a secretary?
I can't get paid for being secretary. Correct.
It specifically states that in the ordinance that created the environmental.
I see.
Yeah. All right. So the very last item on the agenda is the 2023 annual report, which I forwarded to everybody. There is one thing that I added. I wanted to put on the annual report that that the EC worked with the Communications Commission to publish video recordings of each Environmental Commission meeting for public viewing. Recordings are played on Channel 9 and published on the official Franklin Township YouTube page. So I made one slight addition, and if everybody agrees or approves of the report for 2023, I will forward that to Township Committee.
Yes.
So unless anybody has is not happy with that, then I'll proceed with that.
No, it was great. The report was very nice.
Great.
Really loved the photos. Of course, everything that's in there is stuff that you did, John.
Yeah. Well, if anybody has any photos in the future that they would like me to incorporate into the annual report, I would be happy to.
Yeah.
I just scroll through my phone and find pictures that are appropriate.
Well, it was perfect, John.
Yes.
Thank you.
We don't need to vote on that. We just.
I don't think so.
Please send it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So that's all that I have on the agenda. Does anybody else have anything that they would like to?
And there's no mail, right? No mail.
No mail. No correspondence.
Okay.
Can I go back this only take a second, everybody? I know you're tired. That dollar store, are we going to hear about it again? Were we going to see the drawings of it or?
Well, the drawings, there are drawings. There's a ton.
So,
I mean, this whole stack here.
Yes.
Is for the drawings.
So what about the lighting? It doesn't mention lighting.
I think there is a lighting plan in here.
I don't want you to have to look it through that, John.
I do believe there is a lighting plan.
So it would be in one of the 82 pages that you sent to me?
Yeah. Actually, I may not have sent that one. I tried to send everything that was tangential to our review. Like I said, I tried to cut it down so that I didn't have to send out every document that I received. There's an impact study, proposed retail building.
My heart sank when I saw 82 pages.
Let's see, I'm not seeing, there's electrical plans. there are a lot of things here. Lighting plan. Yes, there is a lighting plan. C7. Now, there aren't any residents that are even really close to this, so I didn't think it was imperative to look at the lighting plan.
I guess I just don't want something hideous.
Or,
It's something that used to be open land.
now are the lights shielded and facing down,
Which you
not,
said.
not interfering with
Lights
our.
be shielded. If they're shielded,
They-
facing down.
They should still be shielded. I
So
mean,
the lights,
you got critters and stuff like that. They should still be shielded.
the lights in the parking lot are shielded to prevent
Fully shielded.
any light migration from off of the site. It shows how they are shielded, and they're shielded so that it reflects all of the light towards the building. As for the lights on the building, it doesn't specify if they're shielded. So I would assume that they are not shielded on the building.
Spotlights.
It shows where the light candle is. It shows on the plan the extent of how far the light will reach. And it clearly shows that none of the light will migrate off of site, except for a very small portion that may go onto Harding Highway, but not even to the midline of Harding Highway. And actually, that might only be to the sidewalk. So they have actually the most detailed lighting plan that I've ever seen that shows exactly how much light is emitted. It almost looks like a grading plan with the amount of light that is emitted. And yeah, there is zero light that migrates off site according to the lighting plan.
All right. We'll see if they hold to that.
One other thing in the same vein, back to the solar farm, the business about sidewalks. Were we making a comment about the sidewalks?
No, we did not.
Shouldn't we? I mean, we're talking about sidewalks creating impermeable
Yeah.
pavement, and it's unnecessary in that area. So why do it?
Yeah. Now our comment sheets typically only recognize environmental concerns. I don't even really think there's a place on the comment sheet to make a comment in support of a certain detail.
Well, the notes space at the bottom would be a place to put that in.
Okay. So
because I mean, it is an environmental issue to try to keep the amount of impermeable surface.
Yeah, absolutely.
And sidewalks in an area where they're not connected to anything and are not likely to be simply undercuts the agricultural aspects of the town for no gain.
Yeah, I agree.
Certainly doesn't need to go around all four sides. That's for sure.
So I will add a comment if everyone is in favor. A comment of supporting the.
I'm in favor.
Or relief against sidewalks.
I'm in favor.
Okay.
Good point, Suzanne.
I mean, they're not that obtrusive as far as appearance is concerned, but it's just more impermeable surface.
Yeah.
They are absurd. They are absurd looking. All of a sudden sidewalk, and then all of a sudden they stop. It is absurd.
Mm-hmm. In an area where there are no sidewalks.
Well, the idea, of course, putting that into ordinance requirements is that eventually they'll hook up to other sidewalks as things are developed. But I don't think that's the right approach.
No.
I think you should think about sidewalks only going where you need them. and concentrate on bike lanes instead, or trails or something, you know.
All right.
All right. Well,
Wrap up.
With that, we will take a motion for adjournment if anyone would like to propose that.
I do. It's past my bedtime.
And I guess I'll second.
Oh, okay,
Got a
wait.
second there, Evan or Suzanne. All in favor?
And then,
Any opposed?
Nope.
None? All right. Well, that was a very productive meeting tonight. We covered a lot.
9:38.
And I didn't talk bad about anybody. I had a lot of things to talk bad about, but I was told last month not to talk bad about, not to name names or talk bad about anybody. So,
Well, that's
no
only
lawsuit this time.
yeah, right.
Yeah, I can just imagine you libeling people, Margaret.
Well, there was something in the sentence.
Nice meeting you too. Thanks for coming.
Good night.
Turn off the recording.
Thank you.
Oh, wait, turn off the recording. Right. Okay. Oops.